back to Von Kettle Kitchen. Tonight I am making a low carb sour cream chicken enchilada skillet. So it's one pan, super easy. You can make this keto with just a few little adjustments. The only really adjustment you need to do is change out the flour I'm going to use for the slurry for arrowroot powder, which I know we can pick it up at Job Lot. You can get it at Stop and Shop in Walmart. So let's get this started. Also, if you're new, just hit the little red word subscribe down below so you can follow my channel with all the new recipes, crafts, and canning that I do. Also, to get notified, just hit the little tiny bell and that'll let you know whenever I'm on. Let's get cooking. Since this recipe called for frozen rice cauliflower, you can find that in your frozen section of your grocery store. I had made my own. I'm a preacher of making the products flat so you can store them in your freezer better. I just took a head of cauliflower, put it through my food processor on the grater side, and measured out 2 cups for each bag. This one has a cup in it, so with a total of 3 cups needing for this recipe, that's what I did for here. Everything already all pre-measured out. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of butter and put it in the cast iron skillet. I'm going to let that melt. While that melts, I am going to make a slurry, which is a tablespoon of water, tablespoon of flour, and 2.5 tablespoons of water. If you have a little tiny baby whisk, you can use that. I just use a fork. You just mix it until the flour is dissolved, and we'll add that to the flour we'll add this flour slurry to the butter once it's all melted. I'm going to add this slurry to the melted butter now. And this is just going to help thicken the sauce. So we mix this in. Before I add the stock in, I want to get some good flavor. So you want to have the slurry mix kind of brown up a little bit. And that just means it's cooking the flour taste out of it. You don't want to eat raw flour. Alright, now I'm going to add in the 2 cups of stock. You can use chicken stock. I'm just using my own stock that I've made. It does have chicken bones in it, so it's mostly vegetables. So I'm going to whisk this so everything dissolves. So this is going to heat up for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to whisk all the lumps out, and we'll be back. Now that this is starting to thicken up, I am going to add in 1/8 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to also add in some chilies. So I have jalapenos that were growing outside, so I'm using that. I also had some pickled jalapenos that I made myself, so I'm going to use that as well. You can also use a 4-ounce jar of chilies that you can get in the store. I'm going to scrape this cutting board so I can get the rest in, and we're going to continue. If I scrape the rest of the jalapenos into here, I'm going to stir this real quick. So I did some pickled jalapenos to give it a little bit of a different taste, and I used the jalapenos, like I said, out of my garden. I just took the ribs and the seeds out. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. And you can control the heat. So if you want it spicier, you can have it spicier. If you don't want it that spicy, take out the ribs and the seeds. So as this is thickening, I am actually going to put in 2 chicken breasts. I'm going to turn it down to simmer so it can cook. Oops. Flying chicken. So I'm going to turn this down to medium heat. I'm going to cover it and let it simmer, the chicken breast, for about 15 minutes. Alright, now that the chicken, I had to leave it in there for a little longer, so it's been in there for 20 minutes because I want to make sure that the chicken is done. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to shred it. Just use 2 forks. shredded. If you wanted to, you could just make the sauce part of this and get a rotisserie chicken and shred that, or you can have leftover chicken, you can put it in there. So now we're gonna add the sour cream. And it is 1 cup of sour cream. We're gonna stir that in. Oops. Today I have vacuum cleaners that are dogs. Okay, so now that that is stirred in, I'm going to add the cauliflower. This has been out for a little over a half hour. It's pretty much all thawed. So you need 3 cups. So I'm going to mix that all in. And the chicken. We're going to let this come back up to a simmer. I'm going to cover it back up for 5 minutes. That's going to heat the cauliflower through. The chicken will get some of its juices all nice and distributed. Plus, with all the sauce now, it will marinate the chicken in very well. Alright. Cover is going to go back on. And that's going to simmer for another 5 minutes. I did give this a little taste. I think it needs a little more salt and a little more chili powder. That's just my preference. I also put a little bit of black pepper in there. And that just has a couple more minutes to simmer. Great. So now I am going to add in 2 cups of shredded cheese. At Walmart, I found this queso quesadilla cheese, which I'm thoroughly obsessed with. So I'm going to sprinkle that on the top. I'm not going to cover it now. I'm just going to let it simmer. And because it's in a cast iron pan, it's going to stay pretty hot. So I'm actually going to shut the heat off and let the cheese melt. So that's going to take about a minute or 2. While that is simmering to melt a little bit, I just turned my broiler on because I want to get a nice little crust on the cheese. So I'm actually going to take this off the burner and pop it into the oven. You want to keep a close eye when you're broiling because you don't want anything to burn or catch on fire. This is a great way to sneak vegetables in for your kids and your husbands. Cheese has gotten nice and brown. And that is our low carb white chicken enchilada skillet. Enjoy!